right? We're going to be looking at more of the website specific side, the HTML or hypertext markup language, CSS, cascading style sheets, and then JavaScript. We're going to get started by giving ourselves a place to collect a website, put a website together, practice using, HTML for a couple days, and then we're going to transition to adding some JavaScript, which we've already been doing from intro computing a little bit. I've been talking about text editors for a while. I've been mentioning this, so hopefully you've got something installed that'll work for this. You've at least opened it once or twice, maybe even try to do some stuff. What we're going to do today is set up a local environment for storing and organizing, working on web pages. What we're going to do is we're going to take the approach that eventually this is something that we will want to post online, make available on the internet. A lot of what we're actually going to go over is based on the idea that we want this to work when it's a website available on the internet. It's not super important for today or even the next couple of weeks because we're going to be looking at how this document is organized from our own computers. So it's not something we need to worry about someone going to our website and being like, why can't I click the paradigms, protocols, naming conventions, really. It will make it so that when we're ready to post these websites, all we have to do is copy this folder over to, for example, our GitHub repositories or some other computer that is connected to the internet. We'll take queries for pages, and it should work as the web page is meant to work. So a lot of what we're talking about here is how to organize a website so that it works. So we have two main pieces. We'll see how far we get. Today and tomorrow are about getting your current environment set up. Hopefully, you've already spent a little bit of time on it, and it's easy today, and you're just sort of reviewing. How do I rename the file on Atom? I like that. I have no questions yet. I like that too. Look, again, this is honest. I'm not trying to speak down about anything. It's quite possible that everyone is ready, and you're like, yes, Mr. Dyer, we're just waiting for you to keep going. Like, you just keep talking about talking. It's like you're I won't say. Who's going to get political? Let's just not. How do we rename a file in Atom? So you want to go to File, Save As, and that's definitely part of what we're getting to, but I like that. I like that's where you're at. Yeah, renaming a file, you want to use Save As, not Save. Save will store your current state. Save As gives you a chance to, can our website be about anything? Can our website be about anything? Websites in particular are like this intersection between documents and programming. And so what we're really doing, half of what we're doing is organizing a document information. The other half is loading it with something like whether it's about food or dogs. And that's a roundabout way of saying that yes, your website can definitely be about anything, because once we figure out how to craft them, you are going to get to change the pieces. Websites are a lot more about organization and putting things in a way so it's a meaningful design and you can see things and consume it as a human brain. How am I looking at this website? So once we know how to place things and move things around, a lot of the actual content, the idea that should be on the website, the information, the part that humans are interested in, can be whatever you think it should be. So yes. With that said, I'm probably going to start with a food website because that's a pretty easy, universal level of understanding and language. Yes, but I'll probably default to, I think last year we did floofs first and then food. The public underscore HTML is the folder name, and the index.html is the file name. So there's two important names we're working with here. So there's three things we need. The first thing we need here today is File Explorer. And here's a challenge. I'm not sure this is even enabled on Chromebooks, right? I'm not sure you can bring it up. I think you have to click into a link that already provides it. But a File Explorer is just, again, the window where I can navigate within my computer. I have a menu here. If we're on Windows, I have a menu here, and it shows me what's in that folder. This is one of our three views we want for when we're doing websites. All right, we want three things. We want our code window, which is our text editor or an IDE, whatever that is, whether that's Atom or Carrot or Sublime Text or Visual Studio Code. So what we want is we want our text editor so we can see our code. We're going to manipulate stuff, and we'll have multiple views here. We want a way to see this organization, and right now it's File Explorer, and we could use our Project Explorer once we have that set up and know how it works. We want to know at least two things when we're dealing with this. We want to know the exact file names of stuff. So the point is, we want one of our views to be a very straightforward folder view where I can see the exact names of files and I can navigate on my computer. That's one of our views. That's our second view to our actual text editor. And our third view is how we know if this is all working, right? On intro computing, this was nice because we had a little code snippet window and we had an image. And we would change some things, and if we were lucky, it would change the image. And if we'd mess something up, what would it do? Well, maybe it didn't change the image correctly. That's not terrible, because if we really broke stuff in the window, it would give us this error message, this function was not found, or we don't think your JavaScript is very interpretable, which is actually what it was saying when it was throwing errors. Our test for websites usually is, what do we see? When I look at this page rendered in a browser, what does it look like? This is like 30% of all the questions. When I'm like, so does it working? If you're paying attention and you want to know if it works, the question is, well, gosh, how do I know if it's working? And again, the real test for us when we're dealing with websites is I refresh my view in the browser of whatever I just changed or did. A public underscore HTML is the folder name we're organizing the website. It's public underscore HTML. We've gotten too far. Public underscore HTML, all lowercase, is the folder name at the top level of our website. So everything we do for our website, it's going to be stored somewhere within this folder. This is just per website. So maybe you have a folder for this class like FOCS, and public HTML is a folder in that folder. Maybe you have, other folders. So this is going to be in another folder, but as long as you can find public underscore HTML, navigate to it this style where you have, that you've saved it in a very specific path somewhere, or you can get to it easily, like it's on the desktop. But yes, no, an index is the file name. Yeah. Not another folder. No, that's like my notes for class. Don't worry about that too much yet. Is that where you're at? Because that's what we're getting into. Okay, so this is like the two halves of today, right? The first half here is setting up our environment, making sure that all the pieces are connected, and we have things where we can change them and see those changes. The second half, this is like starting to actually do something with the website. So if you're there, you can Google, I would Google image src. I should probably put that in there. And that will start a whole wormhole of HTML tags and information, actually adding an image to the page. Thank you, by the way, Charlie. Those are all great questions. And now we have an understanding of what we're doing. First, we're making a folder somewhere where this folder exists, somewhere intentionally that you have access to write and read things, somewhere where you have access to save files on your local machine. So I have mine in a folder that I have for this class, and then in another folder specifically for this section of that class. But see, I didn't even do this yet. I was lying. I was like, see, I have this in this folder for this class, and I don't. And luckily the text is so small, none of you noticed that was just a figment of imagination, and I didn't actually go. I'm going to do two sides of this. I'm going to hit new folder here because I want to create a new place to store this. And the first folder I'm going to make is period 3. So I'm not actually lying there. And I have a folder for this section. And I'm going to click into that folder. I'm going to make another folder. This is going to be the website work that I do right now for this class. And I'm going to call this public underscore HTML. All lowercase. Just like it's written here in bold on the Google Doc. I'm going to save that. Now that I have that folder created, and I know exactly where it is, I'm going to go over to my text editor, which probably looks something like this, right? I have nothing in it yet. And all of them will have a way to go File, new file. All right, we want a new view into a tabula rasa, a blank slate that will hold our prose and puzzles. And I'm going to put something just in text in there. For example, we don't really get to do this not having IDEs and sitting in front of Java or C++. But it's worth knowing, right? We should know as a group that it's tradition when experimenting with a new programming language that your first actual program is something called Hello World, which is just a way to test that you know how to output information using this language, and you know a way to output it so that you can see it. You can use some code to output it. This is super standard. Not super standard, tradition. It's not just standard, it's tradition. And so for HTML, to actually program in Hello World, we don't have to add a bunch of... In Java, this would be system.out.println, right? And then double quotes. In Python, this would be print, and then parentheses, and we'd send it to it. In HTML, the equivalent of Hello World, I think, is just typing Hello World, maybe an exclamation point. How are we? Text. No fancy characters, no markup yet. Once I have something in this file to save, and this can be whatever, right? This is where you can be whatever you want. But say Hello World and then something else. So everyone is saying Hello World, and then you can choose whatever after that you want to put. You could be you know what? And for this one, it can be as salty as you like. How's that? All right. For this one, Hello World, and then some personalized statement. Literally anything you want to put there. In Atom, I see this little visual indicator that I haven't saved. I think most of the text editors will have this hint here, but in general, this isn't a Google Doc. This isn't Google. We want to be careful that when we make changes and we want save those, we intentionally save them. Now you can go the long method, which is move your mouse up to the left-hand thing, click the thing, and click save. Or once we've started this, Control S. Control S is the default save, and when it comes to saving your work, you want to save early and save often. That just means you never really want to lose anything that you were intentionally having. In particular for us, when we want to see those changes, we have to make sure we save it, or we won't see the intended output. And so I want to go to File, and I actually want to do Save As because we haven't set this up yet. And Save As is giving you an opportunity to create a new file with the name that you choose in the place that you choose. Whereas Save is normally going to just, it's going to take whatever your current view is, and it's going to update where you're already saving it. And I'm not in the right spot. See? I had Save As, and it's taking me back to where I saved one of the last files. This is why we need to know where we just made that public HTML folder, because I need to navigate to the specific folder that I just created. That's the first part. This is the trickiest of all steps. First, we have to navigate exactly to where we just made the public HTML folder. Then we have to very specifically call this, and I know it is too small to see as I type it. That's why I wrote it right here. And the difference, I know these both say HTML. One is a folder, which is just a directory. It's really a directory, which is a place to store all the things below it and contained inside it, which include a file, an individual file called index.html, which is going to be the entire website. So we're going to use HTML, we're going to use index.html to collect all the information we want on our website and to present it in an organized, consumable manner. And then we'll just put pictures all over the place, and it'll be like, got a bunch of pictures. Let's make a website for Sad Banana. I should do a complete homage to it. So what I'm saying is we can go back and we can reuse all the images we create on Intro Computing, and we can save them as images and then use them on our website. So that's probably what we should do tomorrow. Let's figure out how to do that tomorrow, because I want to, images is a whole topic to deal with. So even though we didn't save any of those actual pictures themselves, what we generated, because we saved the code, we can just go generate them again and copy it. So we can copy and paste sad banana and fish. Exactly. And not just sad banana and the fish photo, the original photos, but we can save what we created. And in fact, I like this. It could be like a whole series of assignments where you talk about how well we did or did not transport the fish. That's what we'd be doing in college, by the way. So like at the undergraduate level, we would take this stuff we just generated, and then you would save the picture. This is the code that I generated this fish living in Half Dome with, and here's what worked, and here's what didn't, and someone's video game is leaking into chat. I don't know what game it is. It sounds like Space Invader or something super old. Sure, what's up, Charlie? You want to be loading the file into a separate browser. That's your third window. You're saying that you mouse over the file and you try and do what? What's coming up? Show in... Okay, on the file name itself. That's showing you the path. Like, that's your actual path that it's saved on your computer. So that can be really helpful. This? Or are you talking about over here? So this project window, this is basically like a built-in file explorer. So once we're comfortable using this window, you don't actually need this third view. Here's the problem. This isn't necessarily working on everyone's text editor. And even if it is, some of these are going to be better than others. So this is almost like a built-in replacement for being able to see this. So if you're comfortable using this, then you don't totally need the file explorer, because that's you're getting the same functionality. Is that what you're talking about? Let me warn you, however, great question, because this is something we need to talk about. Be aware, this left space on the left, especially in Atom, this you have to intentionally add things to. If it asks you at any point, do you want to include this file and its location as part of your current project, it's going to add that here to this window. And if it didn't ask you, you can always go to File, Add Project Folder. And then if you navigate to exactly where this folder is saved, then it will come up here, again, like it does in an Explorer, and you won't need to use this other view. You'll be able to do everything from right here. Was that not part of your question? Basically, if you're using a text editor that has a good project viewer, you can replace this third view of the File Explorer. But not all of these have that. It's also very easy. For example, like notice I just minimized it. Like it's easy to see that it's not there. Again, on Atom, you know, it's just a little button kind of right in the middle of the page, which is nice to get into all code view, but also, you know, you can easily turn that off by accident. All right, so now the question is, does it work? Does it work? Does it work for you? Not for me. How do we know if it works? How do you even answer that question? How do you even answer that question for yourself without telling me? How do you know that for yourself? Does it all work? How are we going to test this? So all those steps just all fall together and we're ready to actually create something. How do we know? We want to look at the file we just saved. And normally in a browser window, like I have several here, I should close some of these. If I just have a blank tab, if I have my File Explorer view here, I can just drag and drop this file into a Chrome window and it renders it because we saved it as an HTML file. If that doesn't happen by default, you want to check and make sure you actually saved it as an HTML file. You can probably also just double click this out of the folder right here, but I'm not double clicking it simply because I don't want it opening in Edge. I want to look at it in a browser with a little more functionality. Oh, shots it. So the question is, does it work for you? Does it work in your setup? Trying to get to today is we're trying to get things, our environment, a lot of detailed work that can be very difficult. Sure, if all the buttons work and you click OK and it all works, fantastic. But troubleshooting any of these pieces can be very, very challenging. Doing good so far. All right, awesome. So this came up, right? Your message. How do we know if it works? Our message came up. As salty as it was, did you just extra salt yourself? Did you take me at my word when I said you can make it as salty as you like, and then you're the only one reading it? Sneaky, sneaky. I'm still a bit confused. How did you make the project? Okay, are you talking about the project window or the file itself? The project window? Okay, yeah. This is really helpful. Again, especially if you're using, all of these programs should have this, right? This is something that they should all have. So I'm trying not to assume that you have access to it, but it really should have this as part of it. Atom has this, Carrot has this, Sublime, they, all the ones I mentioned definitely have this at different levels. So there's two pieces. So this program will let us just open a file and make things and save it. It'll also let us tell it that we actually want to collect these things together, because we're not just doing this one single file. We're trying to do files together. We're going to have a whole website with some pictures, whether it's food or floofs or something else cool I don't know about, cloud pictures or space pictures. Ooh, making the project. We want to tell Adam, we want to tell our text editor that we are going to collect this stuff in a place. And so one of the reasons we intentionally made a public HTML folder before I did anything else is because then in Atom, we can say, all right, well, go ahead up to, and then under file, again, there should be some version of this. This is exactly what it looks like in Atom. And there should be something of this. It's going to say something about project. I want to go up and in Atom, it says add project folder. And that's just letting me say, and I'm going to do that, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go, yep. I'm going to say, yep, that's the right thing. And then notice, now this gets a little bit messy on mine because I'm going to have multiple public HTMLs. It's a pretty good product. It's pretty modern, and it's a nice amount of cleanliness and UI cleanliness. It's not like overdone. Microsoft Visual Studio Code, I think, is probably going to be a very good, overall there's so many things going on. It's also a little too busy, right? It's like it's more than we need. So I'm starting with Atom because I think this is one of the cleanest UIs available, and it's free, and it works pretty well. Program works for you. They're all going to have something like this where it says, would you like to add this to your current project? And so under Atom, the exact steps are I go to File and I do Add Project Folder. And I'm actually going to back up, and instead of putting public HTML in there, because I have multiple websites, right, you shouldn't have to worry about this. You can just do public HTML. I'm going to actually put the folder above that in there so that, again, I know that this is this class's webpage, and this is what we did. This is what we did. Now I see the structure, and I can close it and, minimize it, whatever, and mess with it. But I see the file structure here. And this looks unimpressive right now, right? You're like, so what? I see the folder and the file. Who cares? We're going to put all kinds of stuff in here. We're going to have folders within folders. The real way to organize this is we make a folder for all the types of things we're collecting. Should we do this now? We should probably do this now. We're all here. We have time, right? So instead of just talking about what we're going to do, let's do it. The first thing, I should wait. Is the website working? Let's go back. I don't want to jump ahead. I'm ready to do images. Who's ready to do images?